Benjamin Ortiz, followed by Rafaela Marino, followed by Arabelle Aguirre.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk again with you. Voy a hablar en inglés, dado que tenemos traducción en español. Discúlpenme, quisiera hacer este punto más claro para la mesa directiva. I spoke yesterday at the meeting that we had at Cesar Chavez. I know Dr. Herring and Dr. Chavez and Robin Swansky were there at our meeting, and I know that they got this point from me kind of halfway because I did not have the numbers that I had already read at some point before. So I'd like to make those same comments to the entire board tonight because I did went back to my notes and did a little bit of research on my papers. One of the things that I said yesterday at the meeting was that, well, let me first start by making a comment about the presentation that you just had with the nice lady that was there. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. But I just wrote down, given the information already presented, which showed that dual immersion students show comparable results when compared to English-only instruction schools, and the fact that of 100 Latinos, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the National Center for Educational Statistics, and the National Survey for Earned Doctorates, 100 elementary students, out of 100 elementary students, 46 only will graduate from high school. Out of those 46, only 26 enroll in college. Out of those 26, 17 go to City College, 9 go to four-year school. Out of those 17 that go to City Colleges, 1 transfer to a four-year college, and out of those 26 who go to college altogether, 8 graduate with a BA degree. Out of those 8, 2 of them earn a professional degree, and out of those 2, only 0.2% will earn a doctorate degree. That's out of 100 Latino students. Why would it not be advantageous and desirable that students go through a dual immersion program such as our schools and become biliterate, and bicultural in the process of becoming as competent as students from other schools? I'm here obviously as a concerned parent, and I'd like for you to consider the option of allowing us to review our charter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rafaela Marino.
I'm here also as a concerned parent, ex-parent of Cesar Chavez. I now have to move to South Korea, but I wanted to share the testimony that I have experienced with my daughter. She's now in 6th grade. And the benefits of Cesar Chavez that I saw while I was a parent here in Santa Barbara and being involved with Cesar Chavez School, it has been a great difference in this daughter of mine, how she has been developing the great skills that she achieved by learning how to read and write both languages. She develops very, very well. She has the motivation to get involved in clubs and be part of Kiwanis K Club. And she's just very, very enthusiastic because she feels comfortable by being involved in any atmosphere with any culture, with any of the 2 languages that we have here in the county. Now, one of the great things as a parent that I see, that I also have children in high school and also in college, the big difference about this Cesar Chavez that has made me very impressed is the parent involvement. One of the requirements and the commitments that Cesar Chavez has for the parents to become involved and to have the children there as a student is the parent involvement. They do provide a lot of activities and a lot of tasks for parents to be there to support their children, for their children to be proud. They said, my dad, my mom is here. Now when they go back home, I have 2 nieces still being part of Cesar Chavez. I hear them talking, students and parents and all the family talking about what is it that is going on in Cesar Chavez with the benefits, the activities. Now, being in uniform also benefits greatly about the situation in gangs. We all know that there is a lot of classism situations because how we dress, how we socialize, and how we address it. So the uniform definitely I do support it because it's just everybody's equal. Nobody dresses in a particular way that is going to differ from others. But one of the other things that I can point out also that
30 seconds.
that I got a benefit, it is also that the structure that they develop from the beginning, parent involvement, and also the cultural and the bilingual, which is a great benefit here in our culture and also for the community and for the future generations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I translate that just briefly? Pues buenas noches, yo soy Rafaela Moreno y soy una madre de familia de Cesar Chavez y yo solamente quiero dar un testimonio que tan beneficioso es ser parte de esta escuela, dada la estructura que tiene una base principal que es el involucramiento de los padres, que eso hace un desarrollo emocional, social y psicológico muy grande para los hijos. Esto es un modelo único que Cesar Chavez tiene, que ha beneficiado mucho a mi hija, para que ella pueda involucrarse en ambas culturas y ambos lenguajes y que le ha dado una base para poder integrarse a este sistema y para ser una parte de esta comunidad para muy buen desarrollo para ella y para los que la rodean. Gracias.
Argo Aguirre, and followed by Mary Doctor by Mr. Ruben Ray.
Good evening, everyone. Members of the board, my name is Anabela Ize. I'm a proud parent of 4 children, 3 of which attend Cesar Chavez Charter School. And I thank you the opportunity to let me speak here tonight. My 2 older boys were very fortunate to attend a private Catholic school where it provided a sense of security, a sense of family, a place where values were part of their everyday commitment, an environment that provided extra attention from the teachers and their assistants, considering the advantage of the small class sizes. When I first learned about Cesar Chavez Charter School after I moved from Hawaii, it took me 2 years before I could enroll 2 of my children to attend the school. It was so excited that my kids would be able to learn in a positive environment very similar to what our family had been used to, with the exception of the high tuition and the teaching of religion, if comparing it to Cesar Chavez. Being always proud of my heritage and my language, I am extremely excited to have my children learn the language of their parents and grandparents, and to feel the privilege to be able to communicate in 2 languages. Even though I learned English as my second language in less than a year, when I first came to this country at the age of 14, I went through a lot of hardships and a lot of crying at night, afraid of not being able to understand the lesson of the day. My pocket tape recorder and my dictionary my mother bought me were my best friends back then. Thinking back of how I struggled, I do want to spare my kids the challenges and the frustrations that I experienced in order to learn a second language. And I certainly do not want my kids to lose their Spanish or the little they do know right now. I want my kids to be happy and enjoy learning and to feel at peace. a school where they can enjoy being kids and to have the best of both worlds, a school where diversity can also be part of their everyday lives. If you were to see the faces and the smiles, the genuine joy in my children's faces, you would understand what Cesar Chavez School means to them and to all of the children that attend there. I think it's like their second home.
20 seconds.
I just want to beg you tonight to allow us the opportunity to renew our charter. And with that, allow us as a school to embrace the challenges that we face, to give us the opportunity to work together for the sake of our children and to accomplish our common goal, which is for our children to succeed. And to find us way to help our children show how bright and smart they are and to show how intelligent and brilliant they can become.
Thank you.
Can we provide a translation for that?
And Mrs. Cordero and members of the public, there is now a district Spanish translator standing against the wall there. So for this corner, apparently nobody actually would like her to translate at this point, but she is there. And so just raise your hand if you'd like her to come sit near you. Thank you.
Mary Doctor, followed by Ruben Ray, followed by Ruben Gill.
Excuse me, Mayor. I was so happy to hear this speech because one of my, her son Martin is in my class. Buenas tardes toda la gente aquí, miembros del distrito. Me llamo Anabela Aguirre y soy una mamá orgullosa de 4 hijos, 3 de cuales asisten a Cesar Chavez. Les agradezco por la oportunidad de hablar aquí esta noche. Cuando primero aprendí acerca de Cesar Chavez Charter School, después de mudarnos aquí de Hawaii, pues pasaron 2 años hasta que pude inscribirme y 2 de mis hijos como asistieron a esta escuela. Mis otros hijos mayores estaban muy afortunados a asistir a una escuela privada católica donde proveía un sentido de seguridad, un sentido de familia, un lugar donde todos los valores eran parte de su compromiso cotidiano y un ambiente que proveía atención adicional de los maestros y los asistentes, considerando la ventaja de las clases pequeñas. Y la obligación de los padres era excepcional. Me emocioné muchísimo que mis hijos podían aprender en un ambiente positivo, semejante a lo cual nuestra familia estaba acostumbrada a tener, con la excepción de los gastos que tuvimos que pagar en la escuela católica y que enseñaban la religión, cuando lo comparo con Cesar Chavez. Siempre estando muy orgulloso de mi herencia y mi idioma, estoy muy emocionada para que mis hijos también aprendan el idioma de mis padres y mis abuelos. Me siento privilegiada de poder comunicar en ambos idiomas. Aunque aprendí inglés como mi primer idioma en menos de 1 año, cuando empecé en este país en la edad de 14, pasé por muchos tiempos difíciles y pasaba las noches llorando a veces, como que tenía miedo de no poder entender la lección del día. Y mi grabadora portable y un diccionario eran mis mejores amigos. Pues pensando en ese tiempo cuando luchaba, quería pues que mis hijos no tuvieran que pasar por esos retos y las frustraciones que experimentaban para poder aprender un segundo idioma. Y definitivamente no quería que mis hijos perdieran su español o lo que saben. Quiero que mis hijos sean felices, que aprenden, que disfruten del aprendizaje, que se sientan a gusto en una escuela donde pueden gozar, simplemente ser niños y tener lo mejor para ambos mundos. Es una escuela muy auténtico que está en las caras de mis hijos, ustedes sí entenderían qué significa esta escuela para ellos. A todos los niños es más fácil, para todos los niños en las escuelas César Chávez es su segundo hogar. Ellos no entienden acerca de las pruebas estandarizadas y cómo las calificaciones le pueden poner malas etiquetas. Entonces, sí, pero sí entienden cómo es sentirse alegre y sentirse orgullosos de sus escolares. La escuela donde esta noche les ruego que dejen que nuestra convenio sea renovada y con esto que nos permiten como una escuela enfrentar los retos que tenemos ahora. Por favor, denos la oportunidad de trabajar juntos para lo bien de los niños y para lograr la meta comunal que es para que los niños tengan mucho éxito en la primaria y en adelante. Por favor, de no quitarnos lo que mucha gente ha puesto muchísimo trabajo, sino trabajen con nosotros para encontrar maneras para que nuestros hijos muestran lo que listos e inteligentes que son y entienden qué inteligentes y excepcionales se pueden hacer. Gracias.
Thank you, thank you. And from this point on, we should have Spanish translation available either simultaneously through the headsets or from district interpreter over on the side. So thank you, Doctor.
Good evening, my name is Mary Doctor. I'm a member of the Governance Council, and I'm also a parent of a flourishing third grader. I'm aware that you already know what a great school we have here. And so rather than taking my time sharing about the exceptional educational experience of my daughter, which I cannot do in 3 minutes, I want to instead share about something else. I want to talk about Edison Language Academy in Santa Monica. They're a highly successful dual immersion school with an API over 850 that our Governance Council has been in contact with and from whom we hope to learn. 4 things you should know about them. In their first 18 years, they struggled and in fact have the lowest APIs in their district. 6 years ago, they implemented a variety of strategies to turn things around by focusing primarily on the needs of English learners. Third, as a result, they experienced a 135-point growth in 6 years in API. Now, final point, if you compare their scores 6 years ago when they were in their 18th year to our scores today in our 10th year, they are almost identical. Almost identical. But someone in their district took the long view. We have plans to visit their school and others like them in order to identify and implement strategies that will help our school grow and become even better than we are. We want to learn. We want to grow. We are motivated and we are capable. We are asking you, we do not want a new charter. We want Cesar Chavez charter school. We want to renew the charter. No one can deny that this Governance Council, these teachers, these parents, this whole community, they have stepped up to the challenge. And now we ask you, the board, to please have faith in our potential, to take the long view, to have vision to see where we can go and what we can still become. Si se puede.
Ruben Woodray, followed by Ruben Gill, followed by Daniel Gentry.
Beautifully expressed, Mary. I too was very pleased with the presentation that was made, which clearly showed that the school is doing relatively well and that we can use data in different ways to show success. But I really want to focus on something much greater, I believe, than just test scores, API, and all these other test scores that we've been talking about. Not that that's not important, young Latino kids who are proud of who they are. Who are proud of who they are. That's important. Their brown skin, their language, things that in the past have been relegated to inferiority, they internalize it. And as they progress through our schools, in junior high and high schools, they internalize it and they stop going to school, get involved in the wrong direction. And we all know it. I know it in my work. I see it all the time. And the retribution is against one another, against self, and we need to destroy that. We need to destroy that, and we're doing it through the spirit of Cesar Chavez. We are creating a new generation of young people. Non-Spanish-speaking parents are choosing this as a school of choice. Why? Because they want their kids, their children, to learn the Spanish language. That's a choice that they are making. This is about school choice, parental choice. We always talk about parental choice. Why take that away from parents? And what we are seeing, that young kids that are showing mutual respect for one another, mutual respect for themselves, and confidence in themselves. And I will guarantee you that when these kids leave from 6th grade, 7th grade, they're going to go on. They're going to be reminded daily when they look at the photo of Cesar Chavez, and Cesar Chavez is looking at their mentality, if you will. They're not going to get into writing on walls, being violent. This is a non-violent man, and he's the motivating cause for these young people. It is instilled in these young kids every day through the curriculum, through the spirit that is there. And so I believe we're creating the kind of population, the generation that this community needs, and that will serve as a model for communities throughout the United States. I firmly believe that. In 2 days, we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving.
15 seconds.
Okay, in 2 days, we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. We're not requesting that you give us a break. What we need to do is have you embrace this spirit that's here. Embrace our parents, embrace our teachers, and embrace our young people of the future.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Ruben Gil, followed by Daniel Gunter.
Hi, my name is Ruben Gill, and I've been an educator with the Santa Barbara School District for the last 16 years. And I can say that I have been blown away, and I'm so proud to see the community of Cesar Chavez come together. When I say the community of Cesar Chavez, I include parents, the kids, the amazing staff at Cesar Chavez coming together for this cause. I see the importance of seeing the charter renewed. And I'm so pleased with the quality of education that my children are receiving at Cesar Chavez Charter School. They're engaged, challenged, and thriving. My initial reason for sending my children to Cesar Chavez is that I wanted my children to learn Spanish as language is tied to their culture. I want them to be bilingual and biliterate. Attending Cesar Chavez is fostering this growth of language and culture. What I found amazing is the wonderful school community that my children are an integral part of on a daily basis. The caring staff of teachers have exceeded our expectations. The level of parent participation is none that I've ever witnessed in my 16 years in education. The value that is placed on each child's culture and the academic excellence that is expected of every child is so evident every day that you step foot on that campus. If Cesar Chavez is closed, my 4 children will miss out on this amazing opportunity. It is truly a gem in this community of Santa Barbara. As part of the Eastside community, I see the importance of continuing this work. Cesar Chavez has managed to create an environment of safety, hope, and mutual respect for all. As you can see, the Cesar Chavez community is strong. Somos unidos. Parents from all backgrounds come together for the benefit of the children. It is imperative that we are granted the renewal of this charter, and I say this humbly. A quick resolution to this is also crucial, as the uncertainty is causing so much stress and unneeded fear in our children, because the kids are hearing every day that our schools will be closed. They need to focus on learning, not living with the fear of their school closing, and teachers need to focus on teaching. Renewing the school's charter is the only option, and let me tell you why. The cost is too expensive to create a new charter, and the chances of the new charter being accepted by the state of California are extremely slim. All of the time and effort in writing a new school charter should be put into our most pressing issue, which is raising student achievement. The Cesar Chavez community has shown good faith in working with the school district and is already implementing changes that address the gap that exists in student achievement. Please renew our school's charter and allow us to work with the district as we chart this new course. Thank you.
Daniel Becker.
Just coming by, because I was West Flores, and then I probably bring this over this. I think it's important that we keep this type of school open, because I just wrote down some notes. I think it's important because you got to strengthen the kids in Spanish as well as English, you know, because if you look at like English only, a lot of times people put too much stake in English rather than Spanish, you know. They kind of have a bigotry towards it. But if you have a mutual, especially if you have parents that only speak Spanish, and you have the children being raised, and they're being taught both, and we have English here, but we also have Spanish. If the child is learning both at the school, then it fosters a more loving environment, because sometimes kids, if they're told that their native tongue is somehow unimportant, you know, it can mess with them, you know what I mean? And it's also vital because, like take for example, you got like, I was thinking about like, you got a coal miner back in Pennsylvania way back when. He might not have the best English, but say his daughter goes to school and gets real good at it and starts teaching him things down the line. Well, it's the same thing, you know. And to be bilingual in today's society is, you know, makes you vital. You know what I mean? If you can go both ways, especially in California, you stand to make a lot of money. And these children are the future for their parents and their kids. So I really believe that this is very important to keep the school, keep the kids there, because it also strengthens their souls. You strengthen their soul, then you strengthen the community's soul. Because you know, if you want to go into like possibilities of native tongues, you know, you can go back to that if you want. But I just think that personally, this is a beautiful program, and I don't think it should go away. And I know there's a lot of sentiments against you know, Spanish by certain individuals in this country, and I think it's wrong. And a school like this helps
30 seconds.
yeah, cool. Helps pushing that flow and let people know that they are, you know, everybody here is, you know, every language is beautiful. And in other countries like Japan and other countries, you have to learn foreign languages, but I don't believe that Spanish is foreign in America. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you very much. That concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. And board members, of course, anything that was brought up by Ms. Fleming, and we do have copies of their proposed revision on the dais in this also, we can talk about during E1. Dr. Nawab.
Madam President, this is a question. Do members of the audience have these documents that we've received?
They were supposed to be available, but yes, they are. The attachments are all in the back table back there. So.
Yes.
We have two alternative proposals before the board, and I think it's very important that all of you have both of them so you can know what we're talking about.
All right. We will now move on to item E1, which is adoption of resolution number 2009/10-25 to continue operation of Cesar Chavez Charter School. Dr. Sarvis.
Good, thank you. Board, I've been spending my evenings with Cesar Chavez parents and staff. It's a great company to be in, and I thank them for listening to our plan to move the Cesar Chavez School and community forward. And I believe, after listening to them, that that is their goal as well. We also want to take the long view. We're looking toward a long future for Cesar Chavez School. Santa Barbara school districts, I listened to the board very carefully at the last meeting. Santa Barbara school districts values the mission of Cesar Estrada Chavez Dual Immersion Language Charter School to develop biliterate students. And I looked at that mission statement. I'd like you to notice that that mission statement also highlighted multicultural foundation and strong academic foundation. Sadly, Cesar Chavez did not qualify for charter renewal under Ed Code 47607. That's attached, an attachment B. They do not qualify because the school has not met any of the possible minimum performance criteria set by the state. And I think it's important for the public and for the school community to know that these are state rules. They are not the board's rules. And the Board of Education does not have the option of simply ignoring them. And that puts the board in a real bind. Let me proceed. The district conducted a comprehensive assessment of the school status pursuant to the charter requirements using multiple measures of academic performance. We used the California Standards Test. We did use API. I'd like you to note, though, that less than 20% of the measures that this school was rated on were API-based. 83% of those measures were based on other indicators. NCLB, adequate yearly progress, the California English Language Development Test, AMAO, the annual measurement objectives, junior high and high school grade point averages. And this was a particular concern to us. I heard a speaker talk about these students' future. We are very concerned about their future. We're very concerned that they would do as well as other junior high and high school students. We're very concerned that students who are performing at equal levels back in 6th grade from Cesar Chavez are not performing on state tests as well as other junior high and high school students. We reported extensively on these. We reported extensively at the last meeting, and I won't go into all the details. I was surprised, however, to see some of the data that was just shown, and I heard a comment that you can use data to say anything. If you look carefully at the data, you saw very clearly that the English language arts scores for our English learners at Cesar Chavez by 5th and 6th grade were seriously below the scores of English learners at other schools. That's a serious problem to us. I didn't hear any speakers address that issue, although when I spoke with the Governance Council told us, Robin Sawaski, Associate Superintendent, and myself, that they were concerned about that and they wanted to improve. You also saw a comparison in math. The comparison in math looked quite a bit better. However, the Cesar Chavez students still did not perform at a level that was equal to or higher than other schools the students would otherwise attend. And that's an important concept because that's what's specified in the Ed Code, and that's what the board doesn't have any control over. Board, if you look at attachment B with me for a minute, you will see some important details in the state Ed Code. Attachment B has to do with legal requirements. And in the middle of the page, you will see the 4 possible performance areas. They're enumerated, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The 4 possible performance areas that every school must meet in order to be renewed as a charter school. This was enacted 4.5 years ago by the state. The state at that point was concerned about low-performing charter schools, and the state is again concerned about low-performing charter schools as they pursue race to the top funds. These are 4 separate qualifications. There was no doubt between the school and ourselves that the school did not meet the first qualification, it did not meet the second qualification, it did not meet the third qualification, and our comprehensive assessment that we presented at our last meeting was really all about this 4th condition. The 4th condition is very important. If you'll read the 4th condition, it says essentially that the district determines that the academic performance of the school must be at least equal to or better than schools the students would otherwise attend. And there's some other very important language about similar characteristics with other schools and similar comparisons. And in fact, I spent a considerable amount of time after we conducted our assessment talking to Pat McCabe, who is well known in the Department of Education from the Accountability Unit, as to how the state would go about conducting an evaluation like this. I described the multiple measures, I described the weighted comparison. Pat McCabe said, we got it right. I'd like you to also see under 4 that condition A is the primary paragraph that the school, any charter, must meet in order to qualify under this condition. But paragraph B is also very important because paragraph B says that the determination made shall be based upon all of the following. And that includes 3 things. First of all, documented and clear and convincing data. Now, that is clear and convincing data that the children at this school are performing at least equal to or higher than schools that they would otherwise attend. And in fact, the data that you just saw from the school shows that that is not the case. The second is that the achievement data from assessments, including but not limited to the STAR results, for demographically similar pupil populations in the comparison schools. And finally, information submitted by the charter school. I also reported to you on information submitted by the charter school. Much of that was submitted through a programmatic audit, and you saw the results of the programmatic audit. I won't belabor that point. I'd like you also to note C, paragraph C, that the chartering authority must submit to the superintendent copies of the supporting documentation and written summary of the basis for any determination, which would have to do with this. Well, I reported our analysis of the programmatic audit. I reported our data at the last board meeting. You've seen additional data from the school. There is no question you cannot renew this charter. I would also like to comment on my conversations with the Department of Education, because I have been talking with Carol Barkley in the Department of Education. I have been talking with Matt Dunkel in the Department of Education. I've been talking with Julie Klein-Briggs, the name you just heard in the Department of Education. In fact, I talked to 2 of those people again just today. The question was whether the board could renew the charter this spring. Could the board just pass on this issue for now And could the board renew the charter this spring? And the answer is in the language I just showed you. The results that we would be looking at this spring are tests students have already taken. They've already taken the CELT, they've already taken the CSTs, they've already received the AYP results. Those will not change by February of this year or March of this year. Let me go on. I've also been advised by the state that state funding for the charter school may end in December unless the board develops a plan to maintain the school through the end of the year. And the California Department of Education, Carol Barkley herself, has requested that by December 1st, the district notify the Department of Education whether funding for the expired charter should be discontinued or whether we have an acceptable plan, whether we're developing an acceptable plan to keep the school open for the remainder of the year. My first goal is a plan to keep the school open for the remainder of this year. The board can adopt a resolution tonight to extend the term of the current charter with, I hope, with substantial oversight through the end of the school year. This would allow the school to remain open. It would allow time for the community then to propose the second part of the plan, which is for the school community to propose a charter school, a school of choice, whatever the school community would like to propose that would serve the students of this school and other students in our district and in our area. Let me move ahead. Let me find my place so that I can move ahead. You have in front of you, board, a proposed resolution. Before I talk about that resolution, let me say to the board and let me say once again to this community, I've said it a number of times before, I've said no one wants to close this school, I do not want to close the school, the Board of Education does not want to close the school, and in fact, you need to tell your students this school will not be closed. We believe in the dual language mission, immersion mission of the school. Parents are highly motivated and are heavily involved in the life of the school. The school has an enthusiastic staff. The students have a strong si se puede spirit. There are healthy connections between this school and the community. There are too many good things going on here to let it go. We should not be content, though, with the low performance of our students, especially those that are English learners at the school. The future of our students at Cesar Chavez depends in part on their academic preparation. And we need higher levels of academic preparation. So as we move forward, I think we should keep that in the forefront. How do we get to that point where we move to higher levels? We can do better. The Governance Council is telling us that we can do better. And when our other schools, our other elementary schools have shown low levels of performance, we have engaged them in major restructuring efforts, and they're now performing at higher levels. Why should we be complacent about Cesar Chavez? After meeting with the Governance Council last night, I revised the proposal that I sent to you on Friday. I didn't have an opportunity, I was able to meet with only 2 of the Governance Council members this last week. I couldn't meet with the entire council. I put the proposal together. We sunshined it to those 2 members on Thursday morning. And after meeting with them, I've gone back to it to make some revisions. So much of it is as you have seen it before. before, but I think there are important revisions, and I believe that there are revisions that the Governance Council would, by and large, support. I will point out the differences, because there are a couple of differences in what the Governance Council said they would accept and what I think you should find. First of all, you have the whereases. The whereases are essentially what is. And when we get down to therefore be it resolved, now you're looking at what we should do. The primary difference in the whereas section is in the third one. The third one, whereas multiple measures of student performance do not provide clear and convincing evidence that the academic performance of Cesar Chavez Charter School is at least equal to the academic performance of public schools the charter pupils would otherwise attend, as well as the academic performance of schools in the district, taking into account the composition of the pupil population that is served by the charter school, is directly out of and reflects that condition number 4. It is an important statement. Last night I heard we would rather, well, I'll let one of the speakers address that because it sounded negative. It does sound negative. And I'm sorry for that. We had no intention of hurting anyone's feelings or anyone's good efforts by that. But it does directly assess and directly address condition number 4, and that is an important thing to include. For the most part, the rest of them are just straightforward statements about where we are in this process. I also wanted to comment, though, on the last whereas the Board of Education has expressed an interest in pursuing ways to reconstitute a bilingual or a dual language immersion program. And what I will say about that was that I listened very carefully at our last board meeting, and I heard the board saying, look, we want to reconstitute the program. We want to have a bilingual program. When we met with the Governance Council last night, the Governance Council said, oh, no, we want a dual language immersion program, so we want the board to find in its whereas that they would include a dual language immersion school. So I simply broadened it so that it would be clear, and I think the board would probably agree. Bilingual, dual language immersion, they are not the same, and I'm sure you'll hear that from some of the speakers. Clearly, the Governance Council, clearly the school community wants a dual language immersion, a two-way immersion program. And that's what they intend to come back to you to ask you for. They already have one, and the first part of the therefore be it resolved is about what we do with that one. These are the elements of the plan. First of all, and this is item number 1, and audience, we have hundreds of copies of these. If you need to refer to them, we can go out and get more, but please take a look. I mean, they're on the back table. Please distribute them if you don't have them. I see a number of people do. Thank you. First, the Cesar Chavez Dual Immersion Charter School should be allowed to operate through the end of the school year, and the end of the school year is really the end of June 2010 by extension of the expired charter through that date. And I believe that there was agreement to that from the Governance Council last night. Second, the Board of Education requests that the community come forward with their choice of a new charter petition or a school of choice restructuring plan for a rigorous dual language immersion program during spring 2010. And as I told the Governance Council last night, we really would like to see this before March so that we can engage and study and back and forth improvement if that's necessary so that we can get this approved by the end of this year. The board will work cooperatively with community members as they design an effective program. And board, I have promised to work to make this happen, and I believe that you will extend the same commitment. This is in fact what Eric Premack was recommending in a correspondence that he sent, and I can go into that, but he said, now Eric Premack he's the father of charters. I mean, Eric Premack is the go-to guy and is extremely knowledgeable about charters, the intent of charter schools in California, and Eric Premack says this is the way to go. Have the school bring forth a new charter proposal. And as I said, I can go into that more. Frankly, there's disagreement about this point. The Governance Council would like you to approve a renewal of their existing charter. As I said before, that is not possible. I spoke at length with Julie Klein Briggs about how anything like that can be done. She talked about the exemption language in the Ed Code. We just went over the exemption language. And this is the kind of language that a lot of charters and a lot of districts will use. They'll find some way to qualify the school. We can't find that way. I can speak more about that. Third, that during this year, in fact, let me say that there's really a short-term plan here and a long-term plan. The short-term plan is what do we need to do this year and what do we need to substantively increase student achievement, especially for our English learners this year. Then the long-term plan is what about the new charter petition? How can we get that on the table so that we can work with the school so that we can feel comfortable that this is a strong program and we can approve the program. So number 3 has to do with the short-term program. Number 3 says the Board of Education is willing to approve extending the charter with the following material revisions as a condition of the charter extension through the end of this school year. The first 2 conditions, I believe, are the 2 key provisions. They have to do with whether the board exerts or exercises substantial oversight, or whether the board, and you can see it in the proposal from the charter school, simply says to the school, well, tell you what, for this year, we'll let you pursue your single plan, the plan that was it actually approved last night? Kind of? Okay. So it was, but they've been working on that single plan, and I have to tell you, that looks a lot better than the single plan I saw a couple of weeks ago. There's a lot more substance to it. There are a lot more things that I think need to be done to it. But this is the board's choice. What's your comfort level here? Do you need substantial influence on the instructional program, or are you willing to let the school run? I would recommend that you exert some influence on the instructional program. And as Robin Sawaski and I talk about this, if we were to take on a school that was having severe problems all the way to a school that's doing fairly well, and we needed some short-term gains, and you may want to ask Associate Superintendent Sawaski about this, and we wanted short-term gains that would, of course, carry the students to the next level, but we wanted to accomplish them very quickly. What would we do? Well, we wouldn't go in and do anything to upset the design of the school. We wouldn't do anything to upset 50-50 immersion. We wouldn't try to control any of the hiring or firing practices at this point in time. We wouldn't try to affect any of the expenditure decisions. We would work in classrooms with the people who always make this happen. This is what happens in our schools, this is what happens in the literature. It's teachers that make the difference. We would work directly with those teachers in their instructional program to maximize their instruction, to get the most out of that instructional process, to raise it to the highest levels. And in our experience, that can only be done through a collaborative process. I believe Associate Superintendent Sawaski would agree that I've only been able to pull that off with a teacher who's willing to accept that feedback, who's willing to engage in that discussion about instruction, about what students are learning, and who's willing to use assessments as part of that, ongoing assessments, so that we're not taken by surprise when we give the state tests in the spring. A lot of our schools made tremendous gains this last year. And when we asked them, so what made the difference? They said three things. They said attention to learning, constant attention to learning, attention to teaching, and they said the use of benchmark assessments, the use of continuous progress monitoring. Those are the things I think we need if we expect to see big achievement gains. That's in the first bulleted item, and I have to comment on this item because this is normally something that is imposed. I am advised by numerous sources. This is normally something that is imposed by a governing board, by the Board of Education on the charter school at their sole expense. I think this is so important that I think they need to look at their Title I money. They haven't approved their single plan. I mean, this is an important and vital area and appropriate area for use of that Title I money. This is so important that if they still run into financial difficulties, I believe the district should work in partnership with them. And I don't know how much of your money I'm offering up here, frankly, because I don't know what the fiscal picture is, and I don't know what Title I money they have available and what other categorical monies they have available. But I believe this is that important. The next bullet, I believe, is a bullet that they substantively agreed with. And again, let me say that this is not about restructuring the school or reconstituting the school. We would be looking at short-term interventions that would boost achievement, make achievement gains that would be lasting achievement gains for the students, but getting in there quickly to make those gains. You know, we're already bordering on December. If we can't come to an agreement right away, then we wouldn't be starting until January. By the end of April, students are taking the California State Standards Test. The next items are items that, again, the governing board agreed to, that they would consult with us in the selection of a principal. You know, that's an interesting question. So there's not a principal in place now. Does that make the task easier or harder? And we could have, I'm sure, a healthy debate over that. The next item, the governance council will report monthly on the supervision. They agreed to that. Those aren't items of contention. There may be other conditions that you feel are important. I added a bullet only to cue your thinking about that. Let me say, though, I believe Cesar Chavez has a great future. You've heard the governance council's commitment to improve instruction, and I think we should take them up on that. I want a lead dual language immersion school. I don't want a trailing dual language immersion school. I want my kids at Cesar Chavez, especially the English learners at Cesar Chavez, to learn the skills that will carry them successfully into junior high, successfully into high school, so they will outperform